We hear it all the time. AI is going to completely revolutionize medicine, right? It promises faster, smarter diagnoses than we've ever seen. But if AI is the future of healthcare, well, why isn't it here yet? Today, we're going to get past the hype and look at what's really going on with AI in our hospitals. Okay, so let's just talk about the dream for a second. The promise of AI here is, frankly, incredible. We're talking about algorithms that can look at a medical scan and spot things even the best human eye might miss, or tech that could speed up the discovery of new life-saving drugs. And think about all the clunky paperwork. AI could streamline that, freeing up our amazing healthcare workers to do what they actually do best, take care of people. And that really is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? With all this world-changing potential, why aren't these AI tools just a standard part of every doctor's visit? It turns out the gap between a cool idea in a research lab and your local clinic is massive, and the reasons why are way more complicated than you might think. So, just how big is that gap? Well, a survey from 2021 gives us a pretty shocking number. Only 9%, just 9% of healthcare organizations have actually managed to get AI fully up and running in their operations. The rest? They're either just kind of dipping their toes in the water or haven't even started. I mean, that's not a slow rollout, that's pretty much a standstill. So what's the holdup? What's causing this huge gap? Well, it's not just one simple thing you can point to. It's more like this giant tangled knot of challenges. You've got issues with the technology itself, sure, but also with the hospitals and the systems, and maybe most importantly, with the very people who are supposed to be using it. To help us untangle this knot, researchers use this really useful model. It's called the Human Organization Technology Framework, or HOT for short. And it's the perfect way to look at this problem, because it basically says for any new tech to really work, all three of these things, the human, the organization, and the technology, have to be in perfect harmony. If even one of them is out of sync, the whole system can just fall apart. Let's break that down real quick. The human part is all about the clinicians, their skills, their fears, and whether they trust the tech. The organization is the hospital itself, its infrastructure, its leadership, its rules. And technology is the AI tool. Is it accurate? Is it biased? Is it even easy to use? We're going to use this model to dig into the 16 biggest barriers that healthcare providers have identified. So let's start with what I think is the most personal piece of this whole puzzle, the human side. Because at the end of the day, you can have the most brilliant code in the world, but if the people on the front lines don't trust it, or if they feel threatened by it, well, it's basically dead on arrival. When you actually talk to doctors and nurses, these 5 things come up again and again. They worry about trusting a machine with life or death decisions. They have this deep fear of de-skilling, this idea that relying too much on AI will make their own hard-earned expertise just fade away. They're also worried it'll make medicine feel less personal. And believe it or not, they often find it just creates more work, mostly because no one's really been trained on how to use it right. And here's where you see this huge disconnect. AI gets sold to them as this magic time saver. But in reality, they feel like they have to constantly double-check everything the AI spits out. So instead of making their jobs easier, it adds this whole new layer of work, this mental burden of basically babysitting the algorithm. It's the exact opposite of what they were promised. This quote just nails that fear of de-skilling. See, it's not just about losing a job to a robot. It's something much deeper. It's about losing your craft. These doctors have spent their entire lives honing their intuition, that art of medicine. And the fear is that AI is just going to turn them into data checkers, stripping away the very identity that makes them professionals. But look, this isn't just about how individual doctors feel. The challenges scale up in a huge way when you look at the organizations and the tech systems themselves. You could have the most tech-savvy, enthusiastic doctor in the world, but if their hospital system isn't ready for AI, it just doesn't matter. And wow, this chart really spells it out, doesn't it? Just look at that massive piece of the pie, 45%. Nearly half of all the roadblocks come down to data. That's everything from bad data being used to train the AI to massive privacy concerns. Then you've got 2 other huge chunks, both at 22%, outdated hospital infrastructure, and, yep, there it is again, a serious lack of training and support. Now, a huge technological problem is what everyone calls the black box problem. Think of it like this. You have a brilliant chef who makes you the most incredible dish you've ever tasted, but they refuse to give you the recipe. The AI might give the right diagnosis, but it can't explain how it got there. And if you're a doctor and you're the one legally responsible for that patient's life, that lack of an explanation is a major, major source of distrust. So here's the thing you have to get. These problems are all tangled up together. On the technology side, you have things like biased data, those weird AI hallucinations where it just makes stuff up, and that whole black box problem. But on the organization side, you've got outdated computer systems, no clear leadership, a jungle of regulations, and the huge question of who gets sued when the AI is wrong. You can't fix one side without fixing the other. Okay, so I know this sounds like a complete mess, and in a lot of ways, it is. But here's the good news. Researchers aren't just pointing out all the problems. They're actually creating roadmaps to get through them. Instead of just throwing new technology at hospitals and hoping for the best, they're proposing a careful, structured way to do this safely. And that roadmap is basically a clear 3-step process. First up is assessment. You got to figure out if this AI tool is even the right solution for the problem. Then you move to a really carefully planned implementation phase. And then, and this is so important, it doesn't stop there. You need continuous monitoring to make sure the tool stays accurate and fair long after you've installed it. And you can see how each of these phases directly tackles the barriers we've been talking about. That assessment phase, that's where you take on the black box problem by demanding an AI you can actually understand. The implementation phase, that's where you make sure there's proper training so you don't overwhelm your staff. And the monitoring phase, that's your safety net to constantly check for things like bias or dips in accuracy over time. And this right here is the absolute key takeaway. The goal shouldn't be to adopt AI as fast as possible. The goal has to be to adopt it responsibly. That means being systematic, being sustainable, and putting patient safety and the trust of our clinicians at the absolute center of the whole process. It's a huge shift from a technology-first mindset to a human-first one. So, this all leads us to one final huge question. The technology, it's just going to keep getting better and faster and smarter. That's a given. But as we've seen, the tech alone is never the whole answer. The real challenge is building that foundation of trust between the people, the organizations, and the technology that AI needs to actually deliver on its incredible promise. And that's a question our entire healthcare system still has to answer.